Hey expats and travelers alike, today we're going to talk about expat life in Yokohama. So you don't have to feel overwhelmed by trying to piece together information, and finally, you can get back to doing what you enjoy doing the most. We've broken it down into 3 parts: moving, living, and working. I'm Josh with Expats Everywhere.
And I'm Kalie, and our channel's mission is to bring you one step closer to your dream move by providing city profiles, expat interviews, and personal vlogs from an expat family.
And this is our city guide.
Let's start with moving to Yokohama. Yokohama is Japan's second largest city with a population of 3.7 million. It comes second, of course, to Japan's capital city of Tokyo, and it's actually not that far away from Tokyo. It lies south of the capital and is less than an hour train ride away. Yokohama is a port city which has aided in its development. This aspect brings a lot of expats and job opportunities to the city. Yokohama has a nickname, the Port of the Future.
Expats have been going to Yokohama since the 1850s when U.S. naval ships arrived to the area. At that time, Yokohama was just a small fishing village, but the port of nearby Kanagawa was being built up, and long story short, this helped Yokohama be built up as well.
Because the city has been flooded with expats for so long, there's this interesting mix of Japanese culture and Western culture. You get this crazy fusion feel all over the city in the areas like the architecture and the food. We'll go into more details about the different neighborhoods in the next section.
Okay, so the climate is subtropical and be quite hot and humid in the summer, but get cool in the winter. The city boasts a rich history with lots of culture and lush nature. There are a variety of job opportunities and visas available for work in Yokohama, but we'll touch more on those when we get to the working in section.
Even though this is such a large city, you'll find the cost of living is comparable to the rest of Japan and can actually be cheaper compared to big cities worldwide, such as New York and London. We'll break down the cost of living more in our next section when we talk about living in Yokohama. But before we talk about that, let's explain why we're talking about this city today.
Kalie and I have been running through a series this year where you choose the featured city by the alphabet, and because we're coming to the end of the year, we are coming to the end of the alphabet and the end of the series. Yokohama won this vote on our community tab with 49%. Now that you know how big Yokohama won, let's get to living there.
The city is large and has many things to do. It boasts one of the largest Chinatowns in the world. It also has Yokohama Marine Tower, which is the tallest inland lighthouse in the world. You also have many outdoor and scenic places to enjoy.
Baseball and soccer are 2 popular sports in the city, so you can watch or play. Yokohama isn't as widespread as Tokyo, but we want to highlight a few neighborhoods to check out as possible places to live. The city is pretty compact, so these districts might overlap, but it gives you an idea of places to look at. Now, we don't speak Japanese, nor are we going to attempt to pronounce these words, but fear not, we have someone who can. Casey, tell us about yourself, and then let's get started with breaking down these neighborhoods.
Hey guys, thanks for having me here today. My name is Casey McKinnon. I was born and raised in Japan until I was 10 years old. My father is American and my mother is Japanese, so I grew up in a Japanese neighborhood, speaking Japanese, going to Japanese school. When I was 10 years old, I moved over to Singapore, where I spent my years until I graduated high school. From my high school, I went to International Community School, Singapore, and currently I go to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, studying electrical engineering.
Now that you know about Casey, let's start with the first neighborhood. We'll start with an easy one.
Yokohama Station, Yokohama Eki.
This is quite a trendy area with architecture like Bay Quarter, which is a shopping mall right on the water, and it's supposed to look like a cruise liner. This neighborhood is around the harbor and it's pretty trendy. You also have a sculpture park and different museums in this district.
Here's the next neighborhood.
Kannai, Kannai.
This isn't the official name of this district, but it actually means barrier to the inside. It refers to its history where there used to be barriers between Japanese and Western residential areas. Now, there are many government buildings here. This is the area where you can visit Chinatown.
Now on to this district.
Minatomirai area, Minatomirai area.
Which is close to the previous district Josh just mentioned. This neighborhood is more like the new city center with an abundance of businesses, places to shop, areas for tourists, cafes, restaurants, museums, and more. There are a lot of high-rises here and a beautiful skyline.
Now this neighborhood,
Yamate, Yamate.
is full of history and culture. It's more residential and local, but great for green spaces. We have to note that this district is known for the beautiful rose gardens, which are in full bloom from May to November. As far as history goes, one of the oldest cafes and Western pastry shops in Nokite is here. It was established in 1927.
This district,
Noge, Noge.
Is a little less known, but one to check out. It's known for its vintage vibe and great nightlife. There are plenty of beautiful narrow streets with small restaurants, tiny bars, and places of entertainment. It's a bit more of a hidden gem and an escape from the hustle and bustle from its neighboring districts.
I love a good tiny bar. Lastly, we have this area
Between 新横浜 and 元町 Station. 新横浜駅と元町駅の間.
which is very centrally located and well connected. If you want to know more about the history of ramen, then this is the place for you, as the Ramen Museum is here. The area is very multicultural and has lots of green space.
Well, we've talked a little bit about the neighborhoods. Now, how about the housing costs and the cost of living? A one-bedroom apartment in the city center is around $1,100 USD, and outside of the city center, it's closer to $800. A three-bedroom apartment in the city center is around $2,600, and outside of the city center, it's closer to $1,300. Basic utilities are high, as they're around $230, so it's not cheap. But remember that this is a big city. It tends to be cheaper if you compare it to a city like London, but interestingly enough, it's quite comparable to the cost of living in Tokyo, with some things being cheaper and some things being more expensive.
A meal at an expensive restaurant is around $6, and a three-course meal for two at a mid-scale restaurant is around $50. A domestic beer is around $3, and a cup of coffee is around the same at $3.
Yokohama has really good public transportation for in the city and for getting to the rest of Japan. There are buses and a subway within the city, and like we said earlier, Tokyo is less than an hour away by train. Japan, of course, is famous for the bullet train, so there's no surprise that the city is well connected for visiting other parts of the country. A one-way ticket for local transportation isn't cheap though, and will cost you around $2.50.
Well, we've broken down some of these costs, but let's take a look at the wages and job opportunities in this next section of working in Yokohama. As you can guess, a large part of the city's economy relies on the port industry. This is how the city grew to be so big in the first place and how it continues to thrive. There are an array of jobs related to the port, so lots of expat job opportunities here.
It's the largest port in Japan, so anything having to do with import or export is in high demand. Really anything with maritime transport, but more than that, more than the port, is tourism is a big industry as well. You can get into anything that aids in tourism. Also, Nissan has its headquarters here, so the car industry is an option.
It's more common to move to Yokohama with your company, which means that they will help you with the visa process because they'll be your sponsor. There are lots of different visas available depending on your skills. The good thing is that your company will help you with all of this, and they're the ones to submit your documents for you. If you want to move on your own, the best advice we can give you is to start brushing up on your Japanese, as that will help you big time.
Obviously, it depends on the sector that you're interested in, but there are lots of opportunities available in the city. We mentioned jobs in the port industry, car industry, and tourism, but you also have teaching and translation. Again, knowing Japanese will make you more marketable.
For sure.
Yeah. According to Numbeo, an average monthly net salary after taxes is around $3,500 USD. So when you compare the salary to the housing costs and the costs of living, it's definitely doable to live comfortably there.
Can you believe we only have one more city guide left for the year? The last letter is Z, so head on over to our community tab page to vote on that and catch that last episode right before the end of the year, which is December 31st. It will drop during the day, so you guys can catch that before the party starts.
Have you missed the series and you want to binge watch all of the letters? Well, click here. Maybe you don't want to binge watch that, but you want to see if YouTube is right guessing what they think you should watch? Click here. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.
Bye.